when people get here, they have this vision on what a special operations person is and how they act and what they look like. Don't be who you think they want you to be. Just be yourself, because if you don't get picked up, you'll never know if they would have picked up the real you. If they do pick you up, now you have to be this fake person, because that's who they think they're getting. A very stoic, very like kind of cool guy, because that's what I thought the soft was, you know. And hey, be yourself, because you can't fake who you are indefinitely, and you want to make sure that they pick you up because they want you, not because of who you're faking to be. Keep moving forward, man, like Ranger School. It's literally one foot in front of the other. Eventually you're going to get there. You just got to not quit. So that 2% or less of people who get that first job, 2% actually stay there longer than 2 years, guys. So 2 out of 100 people go to get a job after the military, and 2 stay for 2 years. Everyone else goes to a different job.
This is Alone and Unafraid. Welcome back to Alone and Unafraid, where we explore the intersections of everyday life, mental health, and mindset with ordinary people who have or are now facing incredible challenges. My name is Thad King, and I'm your host. Today we're starting off with a familiar face, or I guess I should say a familiar voice. It's the CEO of Coffee Beans, Polestar Coffee's own Tyler Huckett, or like his fans like to call him, T-Heezy. T-Heezy, welcome to the show, buddy.
Hi.
I'm excited to be joined by someone with whom I've had the honor of serving alongside in the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, Airborne. Landon Chebin is not only a former Special Operations aviator, he's a man of many talents who has transitioned from the high-stakes world of Special Operations to the skies as a commercial pilot. His journey extends beyond aviation, though, into entrepreneurship and real estate, where he's become a passionate advocate for financial planning, wealth education, and helping veterans in their transition. Landon is also a devoted father, husband, and continues to serve our country in the National Guard. I'm excited to dive into Landon's diverse experiences, from our shared time in the 160th to his insights on financial empowerment, navigating the transition from active duty military to civilian sector, and the delicate balance between service, family, and business. Landon, welcome to the show.
What's up, guys? Thad, Tyler, thanks for having me. I know it's been a long time, so thanks for having me on the show, guys.
So for everybody that's listening, we all came from the same organization, the same battalion, and I think, Landon, you got to the unit in 14, maybe?
It would have been like late 15, because I went to the aviation captain career course at the Fort Rucker. Always Fort Rucker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even keep up with the name changes anymore. I see all these different names, and I'm like, is that a new base? And I don't know where people are taking these pictures. I have no clue.
It's in Korea. It's probably...
Yeah. Well, my thing with the base name change is, do you know how much money just the signage in that probably cost the taxpayer? I'm right, wrong, or indifferent, like take your political thing out of this, but the money that just the signage alone, that the citizens of Alabama or North Carolina or Georgia, wherever these bases were, they had to pay for those. That came out of those weren't federal funds. I mean, maybe they are federally appropriated funds that help offset the cost, but I seriously doubt it.
Where are they appropriating the funds from, though?
Yeah, I mean, the taxpayers paying for it. It's just the whole thing, and I think, not to go down this rabbit hole about the Civil War.
There's going to be more rabbit holes, Thad. You know it.
Yeah. But the whole thing of this is, after the war, part of the Reconstruction period was that the Union felt like, if they named a military base after the Confederate generals, because they were located in the populace there, that was, the enemy just a while ago, that would help bridge and heal the nation. And I don't have any. What's that?
I was going to say, soothe ruffled feathers.
Yeah. So anyways, Fort Rucker is now Fort Novosel, and it's a fitting name for a guy like Mike Novosel, in his legacy. It's just still strange. So.
And I think because there's a rabbit hole, and me and Thad, we go back, man, and we get into these conversations, and I love it. I think that there's value in understanding the sensitivity of history. Okay, though I don't necessarily think that blacking out or what's it called, redacting history is the answer. There's a story. I can get into it later, but at West Point, there is a panel. It's a giant 10-foot by 5-foot brass panel. There's 3 of them, little leaflets, we'll call them. And it has logos on them. It has a history. It's from left to right, top to bottom. It's kind of a timeline. And at the very bottom left, I can send you a picture. It's a little figurine, and it says Ku Klux Klan. Red flag. That's a no-go. Right. Okay. Yeah. And I remember reading an article, and there's a picture in it. I got a picture on my phone, and they said, take it down, right? And the response was, while we understand this is not necessarily appropriate with today's modern times, unfortunately, it is a part of our history. And we need to have that to remember where we came from, so we don't go back to that, like the Bible.
It's no different than going into a museum and seeing, a swastika behind glass, right? It's the same thing. No one's there promoting being a Nazi or any of that kind of ideology. It's just like, hey, here it is. This is a war museum, essentially, right? West Point is a war museum and a college.
Yep.
So you're promoting, you're just showing timelines of history.
Yeah, I think you can probably look at it 2 ways. The naming of a conventional base in today's time, it's just a really sticky subject that we could talk about it all day. But back to West Point, you're originally from Ohio, Cincinnati, right?
That's right.
Are you a Bengals fan?
I am not.
Yeah, because they
Patriots
suck,
fan.
I'm
even
not.
Worse.
You don't want to know.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady's
super good. Doesn't matter.
I can make all the listeners hate me. So I am that guy. Okay. So first and foremost, huge LeBron James fan. So everyone in boo me collectively. Okay. Love LeBron James from Ohio. He's from Akron. He still, has 1,200 people a year he sends to college. But with regarding football, I am 100% and unashamedly a bandwagon fan. What I mean by that is I like players. So when Peyton Manning played for the Colts, I love the Colts. When he went to the Broncos, I love the Broncos. So I love watching good football and good players like Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce. Love the Chiefs, or whatever they're called if they got canceled already.
You're dead to me.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm not going to hide behind it. I don't have a team. And if Pat Mahomes is still playing good and he goes to the Jaguars, cool. I'm going to love the Jags. Like, let's go. So
yeah, I'm more of like a geographically associated fan, or my wife's from Buffalo. So I was a staunch Buffalo critic when we first got married. And now I'm a Buffalo fan, mainly just because Buffalo is the ultimate underdog team and has always been, and will probably always be. But we can get into the NFL. Tyler and I were talking about again. NFL. Yeah, that American football is better than soccer or football to the rest of the world.
And that's that's a lowercase s.
Yeah. But so you came from Ohio. You got into West Point. You did 4 years at West Point, and during that time, I didn't know this about you, but you ran Division I track. I did not know that.
Yeah, it sounds cooler than it is, and those who know kind of roll their eyes. So technically, literally, West Point is a Division I school. It's a Division I football team. Army is a Division I football team. So if someone says I got a full ride with Division I football scholarship, it's like, oh, where'd you go? And it's like, I went to West Point, and everyone's like, oh, right. But at the same time, we raced. I raced LSU. I raced Auburn. I raced Ohio State. I raced Georgetown. We traveled, the Northeast and the South, summer track, indoor track in the wintertime. And yeah, straight up ran Division I track. I ran high hurdles 110.
Yeah, I would have never guessed that, and B, I think you're selling it a little bit short. A collegiate athlete to compete at that level is still a significant achievement, and to get into West Point in conjunction with that is nothing to shy away from. And I had went up to West Point. I went up there and had to be 17. I went up there to interview for the West Point SP job, and that place is amazing. It's like my kids thought it was Hogwarts because the way it's so old, you know, and all the, and for the European listeners, it ain't that old. It's, you know, late 1700s. Like, so it's
1802,
really old, but 1802. So, but it's still a really cool place. When you walk in there, it's some legit kind of hallowed ground up there. And it's, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's the oldest continuously occupied military facility, right? Is there an older one? I don't think so.
I don't know about the military facility because there is a base there on the hills, and there's a story about the narrowest point of the Hudson is right there, and they had to sank
that ship, and
I think there's another college that's older in the States. I forget it. It's not Harvard or Yale. It's some other
Brown is the oldest school, right?
I think there's one other that's older than even Brown. I'd have to look it up. Maybe.
What is it?
Norwich?
No. He's just saying that because he's from Vermont.
It's the only other school I know. I'm not very educated.
No, Thad, you're right. I mean, it's. I'll go off on a little. I usually don't, because usually it's, you know, we all kind of make fun of the West Pointers because it's kind of a thing. But I agree with you. It is a hallowed place. It is very cool because of how old it is. It's like a timeless place. The syllabus, the lifestyle, it is very much relatively unchanged in terms of what they do and teach and preach. And I love being from there. There's a phrase that we'll say, West Pointers will say, that it's a horrible place to be, but it's a great place to be from. Right. And so I when people ask me when to college, I usually say Hogwarts, and they usually get it or they don't. They look at me like, what? Like, I went to West Point. So, yeah.
Yeah. And for the people that don't understand, West Point, for the British listeners, that's the equivalent of Sandhurst for Americans. And it's 100% paid for by the taxpayer. I think you guys actually get paid like a stipend or something, right? It's not a lot.
No, you get paid. I think it's like E4, E5 pay, except a lot of that check goes directly to your books and school stuff, and you get maybe a couple $100 a month. So
yeah,
so some snacking money.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's it, and some some Call of Duty perks or whatever. So
nice. Seasons pass, got it.
Yeah.
Or Halo, depending on where you went. So.
Yeah, and your age.
Yeah.
So when we talk about you, and you also had the opportunity to go do an exchange in Ecuador, right? Where were you in Ecuador?
I did. That was again, I'm so thankful and I'm blessed that just kind of the experiences and opportunities that have kind of come across my path. I always say it's nothing that I did per se. I truly believe that. But an opportunity came up for a semester abroad program, and that was usually reserved for the language majors. And I was doing Spanish as, I think, a minor, just kind of because I had done Spanish in high school. And so I signed up. I was like, yeah, I'll go to, I'll do a semester abroad. And I interviewed and I didn't make it. And then some guy dropped out and I was the next guy in. And this lieutenant colonel, I think it was Lieutenant Colonel Malo. I forget who the lieutenant colonel was, but he was the department head. And he brought me in and he did a little interview. And at the end of it, he said, "You're really bad at Spanish." And I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "You realize that if you go and you don't pass there, you don't pass here. And you got to get recycled." And
the class was all in Spanish, not English?
All the classes were in Spanish. Every single class. I had a computer class in Spanish, language arts, history, full college semester load, all in Spanish. And he looked at me in the eyes. He's like, it's not fun and games. Like, if you fail there because you don't know Spanish, bro, you fail here and you have to go back a year. And I looked at him and I said, I understand. I said, I'll figure it out. I usually do. It'll be fine. You know, and he's like, okay. So he signed my papers and yeah, I live with an old lady. It was just me and her in her apartment, and she couldn't count to 10 in English. She knew 0 English. So I had this little pocket dictionary. It was about this big, about the size of a Post-it note book. And I lived with that because I don't know if cell phones weren't around, but it wasn't a thing. So I had this pocket dictionary. And for the first 3 months, I relied heavily on that, desperately relied on that. And in hindsight, that experience helped me because going into, as we fast forward, my current job, I kind of re-entered that arena of not knowing anything and having to figure out a new language. And then I distinctly remember about the third or fourth month in, it was a defining moment for me. I left my mini dictionary at home and I went to school and I went out and I was like, yes, like I could do this, you know, so it was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's I went to, when I was in 3rd Battalion, I had to go, we used to send people to immersion language programs, and I went down to Costa Rica and I lived with a family for 30 days. And I took Spanish in high school, but it was yo quiero taco bell. I mean, it was like not real
Donde está la biblioteca?
Yeah, like 100%. And I went down there and I lived with a family. It was, the first couple of days was weird. And, I remember the first night I got there like at 9:00, and the lady showed me to my room and she spoke perfect English. Like she sounded like she was from America. She's like, hey, here's your room. This is the shower. This is how you work the shower. And in Costa Rica, the shower, they have like a water pipe that comes out of the wall. And then at the end, there is a little heating element on the shower head. And in the heating element was straight up number 12 wire right off that bad boy, hot lined right into a breaker. And so there's a live wire, like, and what happened is when you turn the water on, when you want the heater, you flip the wall switch, which sends the current to the heating element at the end. And I'm like, you guys know how super dangerous this is, right? Like I'm standing in water. It was horrible, but she showed me how to work it, and I was like, well, I like hot showers. And
so it's basically a shower with a toaster on the end of it.
Yeah, exactly. And and so you'd have to turn the light on or turn the switch on, and then give it, you know, probably 5 minutes, and it would be warm enough to heat the water up. But she spoke perfect English, and then at the end of it, she showed me where my room was. She's like, okay, this is the last time I'm speaking English to you. I will not speak English to you ever again. And I was like, what if there's a medical emergency? You know, and she's like, obviously. And so she did not speak any more English to me. But 30 days later, when I left there, I got in a cab, went to the airport, was walking in the airport. Some Americans, some gringos were lost. And I was like, hey, you guys need help? And they're like, yeah, we're trying to find this. And I like found like a cop, and I, in Spanish, asked him to help, you know. Anyways, I felt pretty good. So, but it's interesting when you learn when you learn something new, like a new language, it kind of unlocks like a cheat code in your brain that you can do anything. And I'm sure it was the same, especially doing college work. Like there's no way I could have went to college. I mean, I was just barely getting by, but to do college in Spanish with no Spanish training was probably difficult.
I imagine it was a struggle at first. Was there a point when it just kind of like clicked, and then you're like, 3 weeks into it, you're like, all right, I've got it?
Yeah, it's a good question. Tim Ferriss, if no one's familiar, I used to read a bunch of Tim Ferriss. He has this idea. There is a printout, a page, a document, we'll say, and it has, I don't know, I'm going to make it up. It has 200 words on it. And there's the conjugations of those words. And his theory is if you learn this document, you are functionally fluent in any language you want. And I didn't know that at the time, but in hindsight, I had read that and I looked at it and I go, that's very good. And what I had found was if you know enough of the language, you can fill in the rest. So I'll know 70% of the sentence or what I'm reading. and I won't know the fullness of it, but with context clues, now I only have to look up like 2 words. And then once you reach that threshold, sorry guys, I got the balloons going.
I love it.
Once you hit that threshold of base layer knowledge of verbs and nouns and sentence structure, after that, your learning rate rapidly increases, because now every single word you learn that you don't know is a brand new word, and you don't forget it because all that base is done. It's accounted for.
Right.
And so that helped, unknowing to me, but that's what happened. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you still speak Spanish or use it ever?
I do use it. Not often. I'm not great anymore. I'm definitely not fluent. But we had a new roof put on a couple weeks ago, and we were leaving. And so I talked with the folks up there and say, hey, we got to go to dinner. You guys need to use the bathroom. Can I unplug your extension cable and plug in mine so that when you leave, you just can go? And so it's basic level stuff, but nothing sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. So after Ecuador, you came back to West Point, you do the graduation, you guys throw your hats in the air, and you knew you were going to, you already knew you were going to flight school, but did you, if I remember right, you went to Ranger school before flight school or after flight school?
No, Ranger school was after flight school. Like, I'm a unicorn, man. They don't do that anymore. So
yeah, it seems like a bad idea. Like if you just invested millions of dollars in training you to be a pilot, then we're like, let's send this guy to like rappel down a mountain and walk through the woods where a stick could poke his eye out at any minute, or
No, you're right, and that's why they don't do it anymore. And at the time, consider myself lucky, because you're absolutely right. I don't know what the gross amount is to train an Army pilot, but we'll say it's $250,000. We'll say it's $250K, right? To train him all the way through Flight School 21, which is that advanced airframe, Black Hawk, Chinook, Apache, and I think it was Kiowa at the time. And then just to send you to a school that has incredible risk for not just injury, but like permanent injury, it was not very smart. So you're right. I don't know why they allowed that, but
yeah. So you did flight school. Obviously, you selected Blackhawks because we were in a Black Hawk company together, and then can you kind of tell us about a little bit about that? What was your life like from kind of Ranger school to when you met us? Or how was it after you were already went to what we call it in the Army is officer basic course? You were already technically branch qualified at that point and pinned your wings in a pilot. And then you did you ask for West, or how did you get into Ranger school? How does that even work?
It's actually an interesting story. So obviously when you're in a military school or a TRADOC school, TRADOC meaning it's more of like an academic based school. You got your boys, you got your crew that you hang out with, you go play basketball, you work out together, go to dinner, stuff like that. And so the crew I was rolling with, Chad Thayer, Rich, Alex Ryder, I'm trying to remember these names, Dan DeSico, there's a few of us, and they were like, hey, there's this Ranger assessment program and you have to go work out with this guy for a couple months, and we're going to do it. And I was like, I'll go work out. I don't care, whatever. And so we did the workout, series for a couple months to earn your chance to assess, or whatever they called it. And then I was like, that's cool. What's next? And they're like, we're going to try out. And I was like, oh, okay. Cause I grew up outdoors in the woods. We didn't have, I'm an old school family. We didn't have TV. We had the bunny ears, we didn't have, video games per se. It was just very much an outdoor active sort of get outside boys, and we would just go play, me and my brother. And, so I was like, fine, I'll do the tryout too. That's cool. Whatever. So we all try out and we all pass. And I was like, okay, that was fun. What's the next thing? Like, let's move on. And they're like, we're going to go. I'm like, whoa, like I didn't think we were actually going. Again, I was a dumb boy. I don't know why I didn't see this coming. And so I talked to my wife at the time. I dated my wife in high school. We've been dating since 2004. So at this point, we've been married for about a year to 2 years, but we've been together for, what would that be? Like 7, right? And so the way it went was if you passed their assessment, you were allowed to go, but you had to do all the work to get there. You had to do all the paperwork. You had to do the DTS. You had to apply. You had to buy the whole packing list, which costs about $1,000 because all the stuff you get that you need there, you don't get as an aviator. And so, so I showed up and I think I went to Commandos. There's Ranger Joes and there's Commandos. So I went to Commandos and there's this, you walk in and they're like, you're a Ranger School student. I'm like, yep. And they're like, you need stuff? I'm like, I need almost everything. And they're like, we got you. And they had this little package where a person walked you through. They had like your standard bag, like it's like a duffel bag full of everything. And they took you in a back room and they unpacked everything and they had experience and they said, this doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. Socks. They were like, I would recommend different socks. And so you could take that item out, go walk in the store, go get the socks they recommend. So Fox River socks or Darn Tough or whatever it was. And then you bring it back, replace it there, and then you move on the next item. And so I was in Commandos for like 2 hours getting all this swag because I'm not an infantryman. I don't even know what I'm getting myself into. I guess the short version is, and there's a story that I'll share. The short version is I got recycled twice and that took a long time. And then I ended up going straight through after that and got my tab. But that was about Ranger School is 62 days and I was there for almost 6 months.
Brutal. What did you get recycled for, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so I don't at all. I love sharing this because it's a very kind of not a defining moment, but it's definitely been something that I'm glad that I went through as a man and now as a father. I got recycled Derby phase twice, and it was for the same reason. It was for patrols. The first recycle, I did do pre-ranger. I forgot to mention that pre-ranger is it's at Benning or whatever it's called now. And it's 2 or 3 weeks of essentially getting you through RAP week. The RAP week is the first week of a bunch of physical activities, sit-ups, push-ups, runs, ruck, land nav. They teach you how to do patrolling at pre-ranger. They teach you how to do just basic stuff. Okay. The first time through, I sucked straight up. I definitely failed. It was bad. And then I recycled. And this time, my style is if I don't do something well, I compensate for that by memorizing whatever it is that I need to memorize. So I went and I memorized everything. The op order, patrol bases, the steps of doing a patrol base, the raids, I would memorize. The second time through, and I can say this because I passed, I 100% feel like I passed that second time. Tyler, did you go to Ranger School?
I didn't.
Okay, I thought you were asking. I thought. Okay, so generally you get 2 patrols while you're there, and you get 2 chances to pass. And then if you need a go, meaning the first 2 didn't go well, or if you did really well and they're using you to kind of help that guy get a go, you'll get a 3rd patrol. So second time through, I'm feeling like I'm crushing it. I'm getting guys their go. They're thanking me. They're asking me, Landon, what do I do? Hey, this is what you should do, right? Feeling good about it. And I got that 3rd patrol. And I was like, baller, like I definitely passed because they want me to help this guy pass, right? Got my 3rd patrol, went fine. I'm like on a high. I'm like, I did it. And then it came time when you go into the room where they tell you whether you passed or failed, and they said you're a no-go. And I was like, what the heck? Like, and I was mad because I think I was in, and I'm going to butcher this, the more younger guys will call me out, but I think I was in CECO. It was whatever the hard company is. And they're very much as like A, B, and C. And I think C is like the hardest one historically. So I felt, and no disrespect to any of the cadre, because they're all very professional, but I felt slighted. I was an officer. I was an aviator. We're doing some badge protecting. I was doing pretty well. So it's kind of like, look, who's this guy, And so I failed. And so I was very upset. I was somewhat excited. Because I was like, screw this place. I don't want to miss the deployment. I'm going to go home. People are going to ask me. I'll say I failed patrols. It's very reasonable for an aviator. And then I call my wife. And then on the phone, I started crying. And she's like, hey, what's going on? And I said, I need to stay. I said, we don't have kids, but when we have kids, I want to be able to tell them that their dad has never quit anything in their life. And if I leave here, that's quitting, and that's not me. And so she said, all right, I support whatever you want to do. Do what you decide is right. And so when you get recycled twice, you go in front of a board with the colonel of the Ranger School, some cadre, and the sergeant major. It's a standard board. You report, right? And they didn't give it a second thought. They opened my file. Landon or Lieutenant Chebin failed patrols twice. You come back in 6 months, you're dismissed. And I stood there at attention and I said, no, sir. And he looked at me with a big dip in his mouth. And he's like, what'd you say? He's like, what'd you say? And I said, sir, I'm an aviator. I don't belong here, and I'm definitely not coming back. If I leave here without a tab, I'm not getting it. And I came here for one thing, and that was for a tab. So I'm not leaving until I get a tab. And so, he spit in his bottle, looked at his sergeant major, and he was like, all right. He said, day one insert, which means I didn't
You had to go all the way back?
No, well, it kind of, I had to go all the way back, but I did not have to do rap week twice, which is an important part of the story because rap week, I always tell folks that are going to Ranger School, rap week is really the only physical thing you have to do, like graded. So you have to meet the standard on all the physical parts. After rap week, it's literally, can you walk with a ruck on your back indefinitely? That's really the only physical side. So you can actually I always tell people, put on some weight, put on some fat, make sure you can still get through rap week, but you're going to need that fat because after rap week, you don't need to be fit. You just need to follow the guy in front of you for 12 hours. And so I was a day one insert, which means I didn't have to do rap week again. And I went straight through. And the reason that's important, and I want to share that with folks, is that, sometimes there's adversity and there you can convince yourself of anything. You can convince yourself to buy a car. You can convince yourself to make decisions. You can convince yourself of anything you want. That's the human brain, right? I convinced myself that I was done with that place. And the fact that I had the sense and the Lord put it in my heart to not leave was significant for me in my life because I was able to say under adversity and I was physically just beat up. I still did it by the Lord's grace and I made it through and I'm proud of it. And I'm proud that I did that. So that was a pretty gnarly, I got recycled over Best Ranger too, the second time, which means you're essentially slaves. So there's a Best Ranger competition once a year and all of the recycle platoon, they're literally slave labor. They're painting pickets, they're refilling water, they're pulling weeds, they're running around doing stuff. And so for, I think 6 weeks, it was an extended hold period. For 6 weeks, I was just a slave and it is what it is, man. Like get it done. No excuses. So
how long did you spend in the holds when you were recycling?
So generally you only wait for that next class, which is a couple weeks, but because of that Best Ranger, it ended up being over a month before I could start again. And now it's the middle of summer. Right. It's the middle of summer now. Yeah, man.
In Georgia.
I started in like January, February, and then I ended up finishing the end of May. So I would have started May, April. So end of March, early April. And it started to get hot. I'm like, dude, this is just the worst. But hey, man, all's well that ends well. So don't quit, guys.
Yeah. So after Ranger School, you got assigned to the 101st, right? Didn't you go to the 101st?
Yeah, I got super lucky. Again, my life is been blessed. I got lucky. So even though I stayed at Benning for so long, when I got to the 101st, Charlie Company 5101, the Phantoms, shout out Zach Vohaska. They were about to deploy, and I was talking to the battalion XO, and he's like, "We're going to send you to medevac." And I said, "Hey, sir, I'd really like to go to assault battalion because my brother was in regiment at the time, 160th, and he said you need to go assault battalion." And so I convinced him to send me to the assault battalion, and I went to Charlie Company Phantoms, and I'd immediately deploy with them for 9 months. So,
where to?
I went to, as I like to call it, Fabulous Shank.
Yes.
Shank.
Yeah, Shank or Dalkey, whatever they called it before we exited that country. I went to Shank for 9 months. It was very, very cool experience as a young man. Obviously, war is hell. It's not a, I don't know how to say this. Thad, Tyler, like I enjoyed it because of what it was. Am I a warmonger? No, I'm not. But if you're going to practice for the varsity football game, I want to play in the varsity football game. So yeah, Dalkey or Shank, 9 months. Rocket City, as they say, we got rocketed 3 times a day. So that was a fun, experience.
The 47s were in Shank for a while, weren't you guys up there?
Yeah.
From
we were
Kandahar?
all over the place all the time. So Kandahar, Sharana, Shank, Herat, A-Bad, J-Bad. It was kind of, all over the place. At any given moment, you pack a 3-day bag for about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I hated that. I hated jumping, and I think when people ask me which, how was Iraq versus Afghanistan, and I prefer Iraq, and the reason is in Afghanistan, the people are trying to kill you, and then the terrain is trying to kill you, and the mountains are so tall that when the moon comes up, it has to get all the way like in the middle of the sky to actually, because the mountains are these massive, we're talking it's not really Hindus, but the Hindu, it's like up there. And so
15, 16,000 feet.
15,000 feet, but it's not like a Mount Rainier, 15,000 feet. It's all the mountains are that tall. So when the moon rises, it's taken a while for the light to go above 15, the moon to travel that high in the sky. So it was always, I feel like Afghanistan was always just butthole dark all the time. And
it was chaos too.
Yeah.
I only did 2 trips to Iraq, and my flavor of war would have to be Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Iraq I'm with you.
Yeah. It was just something, I don't know. I spent a lot of time there.
When did you go to Iraq? What year? Was it towards the end of the war or after the war? After in 15, when we went back in 15?
I went in 2008 was my first trip, and then 15 in October when we replaced you guys.
I think by
went out and did the thing.
08, the war in Iraq was kind of like done. And there's still like low intensity, stuff going, but not like.
We were there in the summer, and we had replaced, I think 2nd Battalion was fielding their first golf models, and we already had the golf models. So we took the golf models over to Iraq, and it wasn't. I don't remember anything that was particularly crazy. And for the summer, it was pretty chill, given how in Afghanistan you've got the seasons of war, right?
Yeah. See, Iraq there was no from 04 to 07, Iraq was going off, and there was no season because you could. Even in the dead of winter in Iraq, it's like the high is 45, 50 Fahrenheit. So it's not super cold. I've seen it snow in northern Iraq. It'll snow, but it's not like Afghanistan. And so, my last rotation in Afghanistan, I think we flew twice just because it was like February. It was super crazy cold. And anyway, it's always interesting to see. I think, and Iraq has cultural lighting too. There's towns and cities, and you get that in Kabul and the other cities, but it's not like when you're out in the middle of nowhere, Afghanistan.
But in Iraq, they would shut down whole cities when you were flying in. Like you'd be flying in, you'd be looking at all those lights, and all of a sudden all the lights go out on your way in, and you're like, oh fuck.
Well, yeah. Let's
go.
I don't want to say lucky, but I was in Iraq for 15 months, and when I was in the big army, and we flew. I flew 1,000 hours in that time, and I had, to this day in my head, I can fly Iraq. Somebody could be like, when I got to the regiment and I did my first rotation, the guys I was flying with were like trying to figure out where they're going because they hadn't operated there before. And I'm like, no. See that mountain up there? Go over that pass, turn right, go down. There's a palm grove. And they're like, how the fuck? And I'm like, look, I'm telling you, I know where I'm going here. But anyways, so you went to the 101st, deployed, came back from and when did you decide to assess for the 160th? Was that
Yeah, good question. So my brother was in 160th. He's a nice soccer baby, so he went from AIT straight to regiment. Yeah, and he he did some ALSI for a while. He was a SAR swimmer. There's a fun story there. And then he eventually went to C1, Ghost Riders, right? DAP company. For DAPs, it's a Black Hawk with all the guns, all of the guns. Thad, you could probably talk more about DAPs, but
yeah, well, I'm not a DAP guy, but Ben Channels, who was on episode 8, was the Charlie Company command. Probably when your brother, he was a commander.
Yeah, he was
when
there.
Your brother was there, and yeah, I mean they have 30 millimeter, 19 shot rocket pod miniguns. I've seen the Hellfire racks on there, but yeah, it's. I always kind of bust balls for the Apache guys because in the Black Hawk, the crew chiefs can cover the break and they can clear jams on the weapon systems in flight and reload. So, that's pretty cool.
I would never in my entire life be a crew chief on a DAP.
Yeah.
That has got to be the most disgusting ride ever of all time.
A lot of those guys get really sick and can't do it.
There's no way it's good for you.
Delta Company.
Yeah, there's no way it's good for you.
Yeah, it definitely, Thad, a future. I'm going to talk to my brother because he has. First of all, my brother is an amazing storyteller. He tells such great oral stories. They're so elaborate and they're fantastic. But yeah, he would tell me stories of, all DAP crew chiefs. They figure out quickly what they can put in their body at what time prior to a range or a shoot, because they'll straight up, they're going to throw it up. Right. And everyone, you ask, hey, what's your thing? I eat Ritz crackers with tuna fish an hour prior, and that's it. Right. And, yeah, with all the cordite and the G's and everything, they have DAP hangovers, which, there's a study on it now, but, with the concussions and the breathing, the stuff, I mean, they get done and they're just wrecked. And so the DAP crew chiefs, to your point, I mean, they are incredible humans, and it is arduous work. But yeah, he had talked to me about what 160th was, because I had no idea. 160th, it's like the 5th Aviation Wing. Like, what's that, right? I don't know what that is. He was telling me about it, and I was like, that sounds cool. I want to do that. And so I had done some research, as one does, and I stumbled upon a statistic that said 80, and this is botched and it doesn't matter at this point, it's probably dated, but something along the lines of 80% of people who apply twice get accepted to come assess. So not you make it, but they'll accept your application and they'll bring you to the compound to assess. So me being kind of a data guy, I was like, oh, baller, I will apply right when I get to the Army. So I got to the 101st, within the first couple months, I applied and I got denied. And they said, hey, you don't have enough experience. You need to make PC, pilot and command. You need to deploy. You need to do some stuff first. And in my mind, I was like, perfect. That's what I expected. But now when I apply after those things, I'll have an quote 80% chance of actually getting picked up. And that's what happened. So I deployed, I made PC, and I applied again, and I was able to go assess. So
yeah, and that was kind of the same story of Nick O'Kelly. Nick? He was in Charlie Company. I met him at church, and he was like, dude, how do I get in there? I'm like, okay, like go deploy, make PC. When you get back, call me, and the rest is history. But when you favorably assessed, you came into the unit, and I didn't assess you. I didn't assess you, right?
No. So there's a little bit of a story here. So I really wanted to be a DAP pilot because my brother was there, and I was like, I'm going to do that. Right. And the Lord has his plan, and it's perfect. And I didn't become a DAP pilot, and I love that I didn't because of, my story. But when I was in Green Platoon, I was assessed by Mark Scoville. Mark Scoville was a flight lead for the DAPs. And Charlie at the time, C1. And at the time it was, I guess they were kind of transitioning through the person who assesses you isn't necessarily the company that will take you.
Yeah. That started around 14-ish.
Right. And I assessed in 14 or 15.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know that. So when Mark Scoville showed up, I was like, yes, like if I get picked up, I'm going to C1. And that wasn't the case, but I actually went after I got picked up, and there's actually a cool story about the board I'll circle back to, but I actually went and talked to Ben Channels because my brother knew him, and I talked to him, and I went to his office and I said, hey, if there's anything you can do, I'd love to go to C1, kind of politicking a little bit, and he was like, well, your brother's here, and that's not necessarily going to be an easy thing. And so my brother ended up leaving. He ended up going to SOAP B to be an instructor for the new crew chiefs, kind of opening that way. And it didn't work out, which is fine. It did work out, I should say, just in a way that I didn't think that I wanted. So, but yeah, but a quick story, not to give away any of the G2 on assessment, but a funny story that I like to tell is at the very end. The assessment is, and that on your other podcast you talk about it. They deprive you of sleep, they give you 10 pounds put in a 5-pound bag. They're trying to stress you out to see how far you can go, right? You're not going to impress them necessarily, but they just want to see what you're capable of. And I was doing okay, right? Because I'd been in an assault battalion, so I was kind of good with the planning and BNAV and stuff like that. BNAV is flying a helicopter with just a compass, a timer, and a map. And you have to essentially land nav from the sky to hit your target.
Basic navigation,
yeah. And so it got to the board, and you're sitting there, at attention in the chair, and it was Mr. It wasn't Resega.
Brad Resega.
It was the guy before him, I think.
Sean Woodman.
Maybe it was Resega then. Pacwa.
Yeah.
It was Mr. Pacwa. He's a W5. I think at the time. And every time he would ask me a question, or any warrant officer would ask me a question, I would say, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's kind of my style anyways. Even if you're a specialist, yes, sir, it's kind of whatever, it's a thing. And so he asked me a question. He said, Captain Chebin, are you familiar with the military rank structure? And I said, yes, sir. And he said, are you familiar with the fact that a captain outranks a W5 and a warrant officer? And I said, yes, sir. And I'm cocked. You can't see me if you're listening, but I've like a baseball bat. Like I am ready for him to lob the next question, which is, are you going to have issues taking guidance and orders from a warrant officer? And I was like, hips turn, like home run, because no, warrant officers are the tactical and technical experts. They have more experience. These guys have been in Mogadishu. These guys have been all over the place. I have no issues taking guidance or orders from a warrant officer at all. That's not my thing. He did not ask that question, guys. He stood up and he slammed his hands to the table and he said, then why do you keep calling me sir? And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I was not expecting that. Now, assessment they're very professional, and that was professional. He was trying to get me uncomfortable to see how I would respond to being uncomfortable, and he did. And I said, I understand. I said, sir, Mr. Pacwa, I respect you. You've earned, you're a field grade warrant officer. You have earned that, and so that's why I call you sir. And he said, all right, well, stop calling me sir. And I said, okay. So he definitely got me flustered. And then the next question he asked me, I said, yes, sir. I just said, yes. But that was a fun little.
Did you know him, Tyler? He's a 47 guy.
No.
Aqua. Yeah. He was a 2nd Battalion dude.
Maybe if I seen him, I don't know. Like I said, we
you
mixed for a little bit.
2nd Battalion?
We mixed crews probably up to 2009. And then we shared some like day VI package stuff, but not a whole bunch.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the whole assessment thing in the 160th is, I did a ton of assessments as an assessment pilot, battalion assessment officer and pilot. And I kind of run as a hiring manager where we work now. I lean on a lot of those tactics. And these guys here, Tyler hears it all the time because I review these resumes and the stuff that people put on their resumes, like you wouldn't believe that just the dumb things I see. I'm not going to get into it because there's HR there's all this HR rules, but I have seen some insane, just why would you put that? Like, on what planet do you think that would impress anybody? And anyways, it's always interesting to see what people,
or catching somebody in a lie.
Or catching somebody in a lie. Like, people lie, and like,
oh, well, that's not what I meant. I was like, well, if you put these two things together here, that's what that means.
Yeah.
And like, it must have been a typo. I was like, no, that's a whole sentence.
You applied for a pilot job and you didn't think I was going to check, and then that I know where, especially where we work in a pretty niche community, and I know if I don't know you, I know somebody who knows you, and I'll find out who you are, or I'll go on LinkedIn and find you and see, oh, we got 7 connections. What do you think about this guy? But it never ceases. I had one today that just never ceases to amaze me. And, I mean, it actually always amazes me. I'm blown away. But what about,
and there's one more thing real quick.
Yeah.
I wanted to say for the assessment part, I just for folks, maybe just encouragement, life lesson, whatever you want to call it. Before I went, my brother told me, he said, when you're there and if you get picked up through your career, he said, be yourself. And I said, okay. And he's like, what happens? Cause my brother, as a crew chief, he would ride on some of the assessment flights, right? If he gets tagged with it. And he would say, when people get here, they have this vision on what a special operations person is and how they act and what they look like. And everyone ends up looking the same anyways. That's a different story. But he said, when you're there, don't be who you think they want you to be. Just be yourself, because if you don't get picked up, you'll never know if they would have picked up the real you. Lesson 1. Lesson 2 is, if they do pick you up, now you have to be this fake person, because that's who they think they're getting. And so that was really good for me, because I was going to go in, very stoic, very like kind of cool guy, because that's what I thought the soft was, and it can be, but it's very much, it was good advice for him to say, hey, be yourself, because, you can't fake who you are indefinitely, and you want to make sure that they pick you up because they want you, not because of who you're faking to be. So that was good advice from him. So.
Yeah, I think that advice probably served you well, because when you got to the company, when I first met you, I think I was the SP of the company when you came in, and my first like you had said something, my first kind of reaction was like, this fucking West Point guy, like, Jesus, like, I gotta deal with this guy.
Yes.
And yeah, so I remember seeing you, and I can't remember what it was. There was some kind of something you had asked me, and I don't even remember. I just was like, fucking West Point. And like, but then you just kind of were just you, and just acted like I think I asked you to do something, and it was, I don't think I was like directive. I was like, hey sir, can you do whatever? And you were like, yeah, I got it. And I was like, oh man, this guy's okay. And, yeah, so that, I think that advice probably served you pretty well. So, yeah.
It did, I think, because, be true to thyself type thing. I'll tell you this much, that, it's, and I've never told you this, I don't think I've shared it really at all, but as I was kind of thinking about this podcast, bro, I was so intimidated by you.
Me?
Dude, yes. But here, like, it's definitely, it makes sense. So I had my brother who told me the isms. He said, Landon, the first 6 months you're there, he's like, don't talk and don't ask questions. He said, write them down and go to your fellow platoon leader and ask him or her, or him at the time. There was no females. But you're not allowed to ask questions. This is not because at West Point, they encourage, if you have any questions, ask questions. And if you know West Pointer, they love asking questions, which is fine, right? But he's like, not here. He's like, you're a new guy. If you ask a question, it's probably gonna be dumb, right? And he also told me about flight leads. He's like, flight leads are in charge. They are the top. They're at the tip of the spear. And he's like, don't talk to them. Don't ask them questions. Like, avoid them, because they got a million things going on. So when I met you the first time, I was like, oh crap, like, that's the flight lead and I don't know what to do. And I was scared of you for probably 2 or 3 months, man.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I was super intimidating. But
you could have done anything, and I still would have been intimidated because I have this image of what my brother's telling me, and so obviously there is truth to that. I mean, he wasn't wrong, and you weren't. It was
also because I was a badass. I mean, let's just be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But I mean, but like in terms of like, you're always busy. You're doing SP stuff. You're doing assessments. You're doing rotators. Doing J sets. You're doing progressions, FMQ evals, planning flight lead stuff. Oh, I got to deploy now, so I got to get an O&I and I got to rehearse for that and get my stuff together. Like, you're always doing stuff if you're even there, because you're half the time not even there. And so he's not wrong. It's just it took me a while to kind of understand what a flight lead is, and that they're busy, but they're still there to their leaders. They're leaders, and they lead a team. So
my kind of thought was, I always took a vested interest in the platoon leaders, because that was the way I could grow my boss. And I could, because I had some bosses that warrant officers did them wrong, and the way they commanded, you could see there was a chip on their shoulder because of the way the warrant officers treated him in that organization. And it was, to me, it was an opportunity to essentially, this is how I'm going to grow a commander, that, and kind of, hey, like one of my sayings, I think it's actually on my going up my plaque leaving, it says, "Hey, little bird, come here." Like, that's kind of like where I said, "Come on, just get under my wing." And I'm going to, but I noticed, what did you think about your time as a leader in that organization compared to other organizations, or where you're now? Like, was it, I'm assuming it was more difficult, but, or comparing your time in that organization to other times when you look at leaders and how they've done stuff, was there anything that you saw different in that organization that made you a better leader, or anything like that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would, West Point wasn't easy per se, but I go back and forth between the two. I guess today, I think Regiment was probably one of the hardest things I've done, just because of the breadth of things you need to know and do, the level of responsibility. You're the OIC of a C-17 with 2 Black Hawks and an entire crew ripping out, and it's me, and it's a sergeant first class. It's like, yeah, there's checklists, and you kind of make light of it because it's just how things are. But if you take a step back, it's like, dude, you're a captain taking an entire task force across the pond, and it's on you to get that right. And the pressure. I had a leader tell me once. He said the pressure to make FMQ and to be a good platoon leader. He had told me, he said, Landon, people are going to tell you can either be a good platoon leader or you can be an FMQ. You can't do both. And he said that's bullshit. And I was like, okay, what do you mean? He's like, you need to be good at both. You need to do both. And this is kind of a lesson I've taken with me and put in my kit bag. I'll make an analogy when I talk about being a father and a husband. You need to be good at your job. You need to be physically fit, all that stuff. And you also need to be a good husband and a good father. You can't say, well, I had a hard day at work, so I'm just going to sandbag today and not be a good father. No, bullshit. You have to be good at both. And if you're not, then you're not doing enough. And if you take offense to that, then we can't be friends, man. And so I went there with that attitude of, I'm going to work all day doing what it used to be called, the chiclet chart of the road, like the matrix. I would sit on.
Oh, we have the matrix.
Dude, it's oddly similar.
Yeah,
and comforting all at the same time.
Really, really similar.
Weird. We had to work on the matrix all day. You're doing QTB. You're doing what's it called? The PC meeting. I'm covering down on training meetings. I'm preparing this. And then when the sun goes down, it's like, well, I have a flight tomorrow with Nick Johnson, U.S. Navy SEAL, and I have to plan my mission. So I stay at work until 10 o'clock because I need to hit the ground tomorrow ready to execute to standard. There's no excuse like, oh, sorry, Nick, I was up last night doing matrix stuff. He's like, okay, well, you're just you're not going to make FMQ. And I really took the challenge of being premier, being elite in all areas possible. Obviously, there's a risk of sacrificing relationships and marriage type stuff, which I was lucky. My wife was incredibly graceful. But like something as simple as RFI guy, I wrote RFI guy down here when you asked me about my first couple experiences. I was an RFI guy for one of Cody Knight's first flight flits early on. And fast forward, I was actually his AMC for his flit or his flight lead eval later on. We were together and it worked out, he passed and all that. But I was the RFI guy. RFI is request for information. And the RFI guy is in the planning cell kind of, but they're kind of a new guy. And if there's any question at all that the planning cell has,
it's like a bitch boy job.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's the trash guy. And so, and so to
make yourself useful, point, go ask these questions.
Listen, to put it lightly.
Yes. But I'll tell you what, Thad, I took the RFI guy job so seriously. And Cody has actually told me, because he's here in Nashville now with me, he remembers that, because as the RFI guy, I'm not patting myself on the back. What I'm saying is, even if it's taking out the trash, do the best job you can do. They would give me an RFI and I would run to the talk. And I think it was,
It was, that was at, gosh, where were we for that? Because I was in the white cell for that.
Yeah. And I was annoying you because every 15 minutes I would come in, because Cody Knight asked me to ask for a fuel spot. And your script said, from the moment they asked for fuel, wait 2 hours and then give them the answer. Yeah. But every 15 minutes I would go, Thad, I need fuel. And you would say denied. And I would go back to Cody. And I was so motivated to be a good RFI guy. And that follows you, man. It follows you because people remember when you do a shitty job well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I think that's a universal truth. Is we all in most aviation companies, in the warrant officer community, the newest warrant officer is always the fridge bitch, and which there's a refrigerator in most aviation companies that has all kinds of soda and Gatorade and energy drinks. And for the Navy folks, it's a Gee Dunk. And that's my nautical, the Gee Dunk, bro. That's where you get that's where you get weird. The lickies and chewies. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. They that's what they call it, the Gee Dunk. And
gross.
So, and you got to stock that thing, and you got to go to like Costco or Sam's Club, and the company has an account, and you basically make money, and then I don't even know what we do with the money, buy plaques or something. And you can always tell the character of the guy. If the guy goes in there and just attacks it and does 110%, it's a low threat way for me to size this guy up really quick. And I go, oh yeah, that dude took a shitty job and did it to the best of his abilities. I want him on the team. But then every now and again, you got the dude that complains and he thinks he's above it. Automatic, like he's red flag. This guy's going to be a problem. And now he's on the radar. And usually these guys will step on their stuff pretty quick. And you already know, but the fridge is a really easy way to far recognition somebody's character. And I think that is really important in most organizations. Unfortunately, as a civilian, we don't have that ability, because we have a lot of people that I question character daily. And I think that's one thing that I miss about the military is you usually spend so much time with them that you know everybody's character, and in the civilian world, it's not as cut and dry, because their motivations for being there. I mean, we were talking about this the other day. There's only one reason that we go to work. It's money. That's the only thing that motivates me to go to work. I mean, there is some purpose to that. But the main motivator is cash. I put the cash in my hand because I gave you a service. I provided a service, and you put money in my bank account. What about? Well, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, to piggyback off what the commander said.
Yeah.
Yes. How you cook?
No, I used to, in similar fashion, I would tell my guys, I was like, everybody shows up on game day, right? We can all go do the big, cool things, but I really don't give a shit. If you can't do the small things, I don't want you.
Yeah. It's brilliance in the basics, man.
Yeah. If you can just do the small stuff really, really well, that's not all I care about, but I care about that more than that one time a year when we go do something crazy and you showed up that day. Like I care about 364 other days.
The biggest thing that I try to, I don't actually try to do this, but the biggest thing that people need to know is when you hear 160th guys, so we are not equal to ground SOF. That is, no. I will never say that I'm in the same league as a Ranger or a Delta operator or a Navy SEAL or a MARSOC Marine. It's not, we're not in the same league. If you were able to level the physical playing ground in our little tiny niche of the SOF enterprise and what we bring to the table as special operations aviators, there's no rivals to that. We are the kings of that domain. And I'm not saying that to be conceited and I'm not even in there. Is probably a better way to say that. But the difference, because you see all kinds of units do these missions. I mean, I've had tons of old friends and former commanders tell me we were doing the same thing you guys were. Yeah, but the difference is that organization does the most mundane, basic task on autopilot to perfection because it's trained. And I'm talking like down to the folder level in your network and your interwebs network. It is managed. Excellence goes to how you named the folder. And I go in our LAN to find, a file, and it's not in accordance with how our procedures are. Most organizations would just be like, whatever. But that excellence is demanded at all levels with all things. And it doesn't matter if you're in the personnel shop or the motor pool, or you have the most mundane, non-sexy job. Those guys take their job. Like my favorite, demonstration or picture of this is the fuelers, like the 160th fuelers. Not a glorious job, but those guys love it. They are the most, like, their parachute afar. They do all this stuff, and they're the most high speed dudes that pump gas ever. And a lot of people might look down on that. And to me, that's a badge of honor. Like, if you take the most mundane job to the limit and do it the best of your abilities, that's a guy I want on my team. I want the guy that understands where he fits in the world and goes, my job is to support this thing, but I'm going to do it the best that I can. And I don't know of any other organization that takes it as seriously as the 160th. I will say the special boat teams in the Navy are like the 160th of boat driving. Like, those guys also take it, delivery of Navy SEALs to wherever they go and do the things they do. They take it really seriously, and they're really good at it. But I don't know that I've seen that in other services.
No, and it's the phrase, how you do anything is how you do everything. And I know it's cliche, but it's true, right? You said, folders and packets, and I'm thinking, the lineups, the comm checks, the lighting structure, like the things that are mundane and easy. I remember distinctly that I was doing an RL progression flight, I guess is what it was. Readiness level progression. You show up to a unit, you're qualified in the aircraft, but I need to fly with you a couple of times to allow you to fly, right, to our standard. And he told me, he said, I want you to land with the right cabin door, a beam, alpha taxiway, or whatever. And I said, okay. So simple, normal approach to the ground. And I was maybe 6 feet short of the taxiway. And in a very professional way, Hector said, is your cabin door by the taxiway? And I kind of looked out because I was on the right side, and I go, no, sorry. And he goes, pick it up and fix it. Not in a mean way, but in a very pick it up and fix it. And so I picked it up, moved it forward 6 feet, put it down. And he said, you are in charge of this aircraft. It doesn't have a mind of its own. If it doesn't land where you want it to land, that's on you. He's like, we expect perfection here. And that set the standard for me. When you land on a boat, you can't be 6 feet back. Your tail's going to hit this
yeah,
side.
because then everybody dies. How
Yeah.
did you when you were doing all this and working in that organization, how did you avoid burnout and stay effective in that demanding role? And then were there any lessons that you took from being in that organization? Because most people probably don't know, but you got out of the Army, embarked on you got out of the Army with no job. I'm pretty sure you didn't have a job lined up. And, cause there was a time that I was working for another company that I was trying to get you on board with me. And I remember you were doing the fixed wing thing. Were there any parallels from that organization that were able to help you? Cause you were essentially, to my knowledge, one of, if not the first rotary wing guy to go to a major airline to be a pilot. Was there anything from that experience that kind of got you to that level?
Oh, for sure. Without a doubt. I know I wrote a note down here because I do have a story. You said we're not on the same playing field as the ground force, and I have a fun story about that, which I'll tell later. Burnout. I honestly, my faith and my wife, I would have not been able to do any of it if I didn't have balance. If you know me personally, you know that my place of peace, my place of reset, my foundation for the person known as Landon is my home. And I aggressively protect and preserve the peace of my home. And that is not me. It's my wife. She does that. And I try to support her and do what I can. But in terms of burnout, I mean, the grace she gave, the support she gave. I mean, when I was assessing that for that week, right, I lived in Clarksville at off exit 11. I actually got a hotel room right off the compound because I was like 20 minutes to drive home after a late night, 20 minutes back. That's 40 minutes. That's 30 minutes of sleep I could get. So I got a hotel room. I posted up there and she would bring me food. She would bring me, 5-hour energies, and she was supporting me. She was standing me up. And so the burnout is definitely there. I would say if the one thing that you're focusing on, and my buddy Austin Roth quoted this, he said something along the lines of, whatever you're focusing on at the end will be the only thing you have. So if the only thing you're focused on is the mission and volunteering and doing that, that's great. And we like that. But if that is the only thing that you're looking at when everything's over, that's all you'll have. And so I tried to, take the weekends with my wife and really allow her to create balance in my life. And so burnout didn't really happen for me as much other than I was unable to maintain a work-life balance. So in terms of staying in regiment, going to ILE, coming back, doing the 04 command stuff, I was self-aware that I was kind of addicted to the fight. I was addicted to the team. And I was volunteering for deployments. I was staying late till 8 or 9:30, showing up at 5:30, going to the gym with the boys. I was unable to be disciplined in that balance. And so looking at the next 6 years of my career, right, 2 years at ILE, 2 years in command, a year at battalion staff, year at regiment staff, that wasn't something that I thought was good for me in my life and for my family, because we had kids. And so that's why I had to stop. But burnout's definitely a thing, and just being aware of it. And it's like, David Goggins, like, suck it up, keep going. It's like, yeah, definitely do that. There is a time and a place for that. But if that's all you know and do, just be careful, because that may be the only thing you have in the end. But in terms of lessons learned, I mean, goodness gracious, I'm so blessed to have the experiences that I've had. I mean, the first thing I would say, as you asked that, is kind of learned at Ranger School. It was validated in SOAR, but you don't get your go. What does that mean? That means that if you think that you are the one that get you through, and I understand the alone and unafraid, I'll get there. But when you're on a high performing team and you think that it's you that's doing everything, you're going to fail. You have to
You already
allow
failed
others.
with just that mindset. You're already done from before you started.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's so true. And yeah, there's a pillar of, you know, manhood where you can't assume that someone's going to come save you, right? We'll call 911. It's like 911's not available. What are you going to do? Well, I would get the neighbor. Neighbor's not home. What are you going to do? Like there is a function of that. I think that's different. But when it comes time to accomplishing something, progressing, working at an elite level, if you aren't looking to your left and right and allowing others to help you and seeking out that help, go into the flight lead, asking them questions, sitting in an AMB, an air mission brief that you're not even a part of, just to get the reps to hear it and getting that value from somebody else, you're not going to make it. And I've used that, countless times after regiment, of just surrounding yourself with good people who collectively we all can succeed together. The next one is that I learned more in regiment, and there's a story here. It's amazing what you can accomplish if no one cares who gets the credit, right? That's humility, that's grace. And the story there is we were in Green Platoon, and there was a guy up front, I don't even remember his name, black collared shirt, khaki pants. He gave us a Falcon View presentation. Falcon View is the software to plan flights. Okay. And he left the room, and the cadre came in and they said, does anyone know who that was? And so I checked my notes, and I was like, oh, that was Mr. Smith or whatever. And someone said, and he said, does anyone know who Mr. Smith is? And we're like, no. And they said, Mr. Smith was one of the Little Bird pilots that landed on the streets of Mogadishu and was killing people with his MP5. And I was just like, whoa, like that guy not once came across as arrogant. He never once looked for credit. He never once mentioned that he was even a pilot in regiment. Not a single thing that he said gave any cue of that's who that guy was. And the lesson learned there, the cadre told us, is he said, we don't wear uniforms here, but everybody you talk to, assume that they've done stuff, assume that they have value to you. Don't treat them like they don't have anything. If they're a fueler, don't treat them like they haven't done anything, because everyone here has value. And so I learned there that if no one cares who gets the credit, and you can surround yourself with people who are in the same boat, the things you could accomplish, man, I mean, it's really limitless, and it's a beautiful thing, I think. So.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at things. And it gets a little more muddy in the civilian workplace, because in the military, the team is, the collective is what it's all about. In the civilian workforce, we say it's about the team, but the problem is because everybody's vying for it, because you're only there for one reason, it's cash. And so it gets a little tricky. And people will sell you down the river to make them look better. It never works. It's never a good play. It's not a good look, but people still do it, and
I think that's for more of the bigger things. And if you work for a smaller company and do pretty well, you know what I mean? And you know the guy who owns it, right? And you have a face to face with these people. Everyone's a human, so there is more of a team. Hey, we're all driving in the same direction. We like where this place is going, versus like a big behemoth of you can cut 40 people and no one bats an eye.
Yeah, no,
type
yeah,
thing.
Corporate, and I think or if you have a job like as an airline pilot, I would assume it's a vocation. The job is tied to the vocation of flying the plane. There really is no additional people skill. I mean, there's people skills obviously, but you're not really putting in the grind at the, we're not going to the coffee, thing to complain about our work, because you do the work and you leave,
Yeah, that is a huge point, and we'll double click on the word transition, because that's a big kind of passion of mine, is talking about that transition from the military, specifically a soft background, to the civilian workforce. And it is night and day. It is very different. The amount of things I had to do, the things that I was responsible for, the busyness, it is 1% of that outside of regiment. and that's normal. And I want to normalize that. If it's not, then good for you. But it's okay that it's not what it used to be, right? And I would recommend for folks that if they're struggling with that, do what Thad's doing. Start a podcast. Do what Bobby's doing. He started a landscape business. I started a transition company, not because I crave just this busyness, but if you think that, there's a scene from The Hurt Locker where it's a beautiful scene. It's an old movie with Jeremy Renner, and he shows him defusing a bomb. And then the director did a great job where he's in the middle of defusing a bomb. And then right before he defuses it, they cut scenes with no fade. They just cut scenes, and he's standing in a cereal aisle in the grocery store, and there's grocery store music. And the angle shows him looking at cereal, and there's 400 boxes of cereal, and he's staring at the cereal, empty aisle with the music playing. And he aggressively grabs a box of cereal and walks out, right? Pays for it and walks out. And that's it, man. I mean, it sometimes is like that, and that's okay. Don't let yourself backslide into this depression, this thought of this is how it's going to be from now on, because it's not. There's people around you that have the exact same experiences, and getting around those folks is what's important, right? We insulate, we don't isolate. If you're allowing yourself to isolate because you're a Night Stalker and you don't need help, don't do that, man. Don't be that guy. That's what I would say.
So when you left the Army, you eventually find yourself at a major airline. And how was that? How are those elements of planning for that life after the military, or did you have a clear plan, or how did that go for you?
Yeah. So no, I didn't have a clear plan. And I, again, say I'm trying to normalize that. Not that I'm like the standard of what's normal or not. I just like to vocalize that, because a lot of folks that I'll chat with who are transitioning, they're like, I don't have a plan and I don't want to do. And I'm the only one. And I'm like, bro, everyone out here has no idea.
Still don't know what I want to do. I've been out for 5 years.
Right.
I've gone to 5 different colleges and had 14 different jobs in 5 years. So
boom.
Yeah.
There you go. I mean, and there's a stat out there that is completely made up, because all stats are made up, that 2% or less of people who get that first job, 2% actually stay there longer than 2 years, guys. So 2 out of 100 people go to get a job after the military, and 2 stay for 2 years. Everyone else goes to a different job. So it's okay if you don't know exactly what you want to do. So I don't know what I want to do. I was going to do the standard officer route. I was going to go get an MBA, because I talked with guys who did that. And I was going to go into business because that's what you do, which is fine. And people who do that, that's awesome. I was going to do that. Talk with a buddy of mine who did the airline route, and I kind of shocked myself, because again, I'm not beating my chest over here, but Landon, I'm a leader. I do high op tempo. I do presentations, spreadsheets, motivating, right? That's my brand. To go to the airlines, it's like, wait, what? Like, you're going to fly a plane and not build teams? And it kind of surprised me. But what drew me to that was just the model of the job and the lifestyle is you work a very valuable job. You have a lot of responsibility, but in terms of the strings attached, work following you home, working overtime, TPS reports, whatever you want, there's really none of that. And that's replaced with time. So now I have time to do these other things, right? And that was very, very interesting to me, because I always wanted to, run a business or do something that I felt added value to people, that helped people. And that if I can make some money doing it, cool, even better, right? So I did some research on flight schools. There's a phrase out there, success is defined as a steady accumulation of advantages. I learned that in Regiment. And one of the advantages I found was there's a flight school up in New Jersey called Infinity Flight Group. And they have the only school in the country that I know of, and I check probably once a quarter. They can offer you, you have 0 fixed wing hours, because the way that the airlines works is you have to have a multi-engine commercial instrument rating, and you have to have a 250 PIC, pilot in command, time in your logbook in an airplane. Now, the 1,000 hours, the 1,500 hours, that's aircraft. That could be a glider, it could be a helicopter, it could be a single engine, doesn't matter. But the 250 PIC airplane is specified plane. Well, this flight school I found can get you from 0 to 250 PIC in about 5 months for 1 semester of GI Bill. Yeah, I have to go live up there. It's a full-time student, but I was like, let's do it. Let's full send it. Let's do that. So went up there, went through the program, got through all of that. And as I was about to finish, I was approached saying, hey, a couple of the guys were talking about you. There's the president, owner of the flight school. It was Josh from RTAG, which is an amazing organization, Rotor to Airline Group, conference every October. Check them out. And they said, hey, we're kind of working with this airline. And they were wondering, because of this pilot hiring craze after COVID, if they can take a rotor guy who's never had any 121 or jet experience. 121 is a FAR. It's a FAR. It's a FAA regulation, right? It's a type of flying. We've never had anyone go straight from a rotor with no airline, no jet experience straight to a major airline. Usually you go to a regional first, right? Smaller jets. And they said, we want to see if this could work. We want to interview you. So I said, yeah, let's, I'd be happy to be honored to test that out. And, 14 interviews later, because every chief pilot wanted to talk to me, every HR rep wanted to talk to me, every line check airman wanted to talk to me, just to see, like, who is this guy? Is he willing to fill the fridge type? Like, what is this dude looking at? And yeah, very lucky, right time, right place. I'm told I was the first, and I'm not saying that to glorify myself. I'm saying that I am honored that someone had to be the guy to be the first one in the chute, and that guy needed to not screw it up. And so I was very thankful that I was able to go in and be kind of the first guy through the chute, where I went straight from flying a Cessna 172. 2 months later, I was in ground school learning how to fly an Airbus 320, period. Didn't speak the language, insert Ecuador reference. Didn't know what I was doing, insert SOAR reference, where I don't know how SOAR works, but you got to figure it out. Insert, you don't get your go, cooperate and graduate. Find people around you that are doing well to help you and get through it, right? All those lessons kind of culminated in this very arduous time where I not only had to learn 121, I had to learn a new aircraft. I had to learn company rules. I had to fly something that flies 7 miles a minute, configurations, all that stuff. And you buckle down, you make it work. And so passed all my check rides. And then this year I upgraded to captain, and it's been awesome. It's been a great experience. But, I like to say no one got where they are by themselves, and there are no exceptions. And I am the poster child for that. If it was me by myself, absolutely not. I am very lucky to just be surrounded with folks who want to help, and that's how you do it, man. You get together and you make it work together. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an important way to look at things, because originally this podcast was called No One Is Coming, It's Up to Us. And the alone and afraid part, a lot of people kind of think it's like you're by yourself, and that's not what it really is pointing to. What it's really pointing to is you're alone in the fact that there is nobody's going to tell you what to do or how to do it or where to get help or how to do something. You have to take that first step or raise your hand or initiate some type of movement. And I think when you get out of the military, you have to be your own advocate, and you're the one that has to go look for things to be better or find your purpose. Because I naively thought when I got out of the military that I would get a job, and then my sense of purpose would be just like it was in the Army. Like, oh, my job fills that. And that's not the case at all. And you have to find something to fill that purpose. And most people coming out of the Army are naive to, oh, that's not me. And you would be shocked at the amount of text or emails I get of people that I've known I had no idea that you guys were feeling that way. I feel the exact same way. I assume nobody else is going through this. And it's a really, really common thing. And, that's why we kind of talk about alone and unafraid is you're alone in the sense that you've got to initiate the movement. And then once we talked about this on the last episode, Tyler and I, about mood follows action. Was that the last one? We talked about that one, right?
Yeah,
mood follows action. And so that's a rich role thing, but you have to do something and be unafraid about it. Just, I don't really particularly love putting mental health struggles out to the world but it ultimately helps me. This, like I've always said, this podcast is really about, it started out from a selfish point of this was my version of therapy, and it just kind of has grown from there. And you've just got to do that. What's it?
No, I was going to say, I think the big shocker for people when they transition, at least for me anyway, when I got out was, once that curtain drops and you're no longer, you leave that gate for the last time, the baked in team that you've been a part of for 12 years is fucking gone. Right. So now you just find yourself standing on the sidewalk with your baggage, and that's it. Tomorrow morning, you're not there with the boys. You're not doing anything. There's no 8:30 meeting. There's no PC meeting. There's no, A and B.
And people don't call you either. Like you're
because they're still pushing that ball forward. You know what I mean? They're in Syria or something, right? And you're moving to Denver, and then all of a sudden you're left out there, and you have to figure out how to move. And if you don't figure out how to move quick, then you get eaten alive really fast.
Yeah. And I think that, to your point, and this is like where the TED Talk motivational speech, like, I don't at all beat my chest. I very much truly believe that humility and a team aspect is very, very important. But to your point of, it's on you. I agree with that, man. And there's, to circle back on that, like, I had to make a decision, and this is where I get uncomfortable because I don't like talking about myself, but just hopefully it helps folks. I had to make a decision to be uncomfortable, to go to a flight school and leave my family. I had to apply myself to interview 14 times. I had to show up. Okay. When I got to ground school, I had to study 4 hours longer than everyone else because they already knew this world. I didn't, right? I had to also stay physically fit. I also had to call my daughters. I have been studying for 12 hours, and my girls call. I have to be a dad, right? It is on you. You make decisions and people can help you, but you have to show up, right? Action beats deliberation. You can deliberate as long as you want, but you have to decide to take action. No one's going to decide for you. And you can't just say, because I got favorably assessed and they're going to take me to a major airline, that I'm good to go. False. You have to buckle down and you have to ensure the success, right? If that means getting a team, you have to make the deliberate effort to get a team. Don't just think like, a team will find me. False. You have to ensure your own success. No one's coming to save you. It's on you.
Beats Bears Battlestar Galactica.
Well, and the other part of what Tyler said too, I tell folks, like, stay connected, man. Like that, I've been to 2 nice soccer balls. I'm trying to go to the one in Savannah this December.
The third.
Oh yeah, I'm going to that one.
Yeah man. Like, don't think that I have got them yet. I need to. Don't think because you're not there that you don't belong. You do belong. And if you're not showing up to your unit stuff, like that's a failure. Show up, be around the guys, tell them you love them, right? There's a lot of groups out there, nonprofits, right? The Davis Focus Project. I know Nick O'Kelly talked about that. That's a great one. Brandon Davis runs that here in Nashville. That one's amazing. Get around the campfire, right? Hero Hut's another one. I know Ben Channels is talking about making guitars. There's a great nonprofit that he's doing. There's another one called Creative Vets. Creative Vets is a nationwide nonprofit that's for creative stuff, whether it's art, music. They've got a studio in Nashville. It's free. I'm sure they'd make guitars if Ben set up a thing.
Tyler's going to make a guitar with Ben. He's signed up.
I put in the application and he got it.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes.
But
you're going.
You give me 8 days off of work.
Yeah.
But just showing up, they've got the soft retreats if you're a soft guy. There's RTAG. Just if you are finding yourself, like Tyler said, which is a very true thing, on the side of the road with your bags, or if you're in the grocery aisle looking at cereal, I want to normalize that. That is normal. But what are you going to do about it? Okay, go find somebody, go find a group, an organization, do something to get around the boys and girls. They're going to kind of normalize your emotion, and you'll get through it. It takes time, but you got to help yourself. So find those resources.
Yeah. And that's what we talked about in episode 13, which is, surround yourself with good people. And speaking of things you do to make yourself better, a buzzword nowadays is self-care. What's your self-care? I'm not talking about moisturizer. Don't talk about moisturizer.
I mean, but don't leave it out if you've got a killer one.
I mean, listen, Lorraine Posay or whatever. I use the shit out of that shit because nobody ever I got that Northern European complexion, which is just I'm red all the time, and this is just the lot. It's just my lot in life, and I got to get that Lorraine Posay or whatever it's called. You know what I'm talking about? That it's like super duper expensive.
Damn girl, you fancy.
Yeah, it's got
you fancy girl.
Yeah,
you fancy.
Yeah. I can't be messing around with that Lubriderm. This is legit.
I don't get it at a grocery store.
It's made in France, motherfucker.
Oh, shoot.
Damn.
Yeah, all the ladies that are listening to know exactly what I'm talking about.
I don't think any ladies will probably listen to that outside of my wife and your wife.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, you're not wrong, and this is why I always say be yourself, because we're just a bunch of dudes. But Thad, I always tell people, if you're in your 30s and you're not using retinol at night on a face lotion, you're screwing up, right? I'm a Murad guy, MURAD. That stuff's maybe not French, but it's not cheap. Dude, I use that stuff, man. Who cares, man? I'm trying to protect this baby face, bro. What are you doing? So
Tyler doesn't do anything. He is chiseled from the gods.
From pizza. Chiseled from pizza and chicken fingers.
Fitting this whole pizza in my mouth.
Absolutely.
But in terms of self-care, when we're talking about what are the things that you kind of do that hold it down for you, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, there's a couple things that I try to keep regular in my life. My faith is a big part of my life. I find peace in the church, volunteer at the church, help teach high school boys. And I'm a true believer. If you know Jesus Christ, you have that peace, that joy, that security. You can be vulnerable. You can cry, you can laugh, you can yell, right? You can be mad, right? But that is the cornerstone and the foundation of who I am, is that I know at the end of the day that, I'm saved by grace through faith. And that is huge for me, because I can truly, truly say I have the utmost stability and joy and satisfaction and fulfillment knowing, Christ died for me for my sins. And that is huge for me. So I spent a lot of time there. And for someone who's not a Christian, whatever your faith is, doing something better, higher than yourself. I mean, you gotta start there. Otherwise it's not going to work out. Sorry. It's not going to work out. Fitness is huge. I'm not, Tyler, I'm not chiseled from head to toe, but I try to stay, every day, do something, whether it's running, work out in the garage, but staying moving. Fitness is huge. And then I like to read, right? I like to have engaging conversations. I like talking with Thad. I had a call today with a buddy, just having those adult, intellectual, philosophical conversations. It really keeps you sharp, and it makes you feel like you're kind of exercising your mind, doing that. And the last thing is, frankly, I have my side hustles, and I know that may be a vice of mine, because I know that I am perceived sometimes as being busy, but I enjoy that. That is therapy for me. I like to have to answer 17 emails at night. I like to have to be on the phone for 6 hours a day. That makes me feel good, and it gives me balance. And so I have, a couple companies we're managing, trying to help folks out. But that, self-care, it's like I identified that a static Landon is unhappy. Yes, I spend time with my kids and my family. That is not, I do not neglect that. but a static Landon is unhappy. So, hey, self-care, if I need to be doing things to stimulate me to keep my op tempo, if you will, at a high level, and that's where I am at peace, I need to go seek that out. And so I try to continue to do that. So
what about, so what are you doing with your time, or how do you, since you have all this stuff going on, all the businesses and all this stuff, how do you, like, what's your methodology for dividing up your day? Or do you have a way you do it? Or, I think I told Tyler about this, is I've been dividing my day into 4 quarters, nod to the NFL. American football.
And moving the chains.
Yeah. Actually, I think college football is better, but you get what I'm saying, right? But anyways, that's been extremely helpful for me. But how are you, since you're kind of high energy and high achieving, is there anything that you use to set that up? Is there a box that you put these things in?
I will admittedly say I should probably do a better job of formalizing a regiment, because I don't necessarily. I kind of chunk my life into a couple different buckets. So the first bucket is I try to wake up early, and I'm not this guy like, look at me, it's my style, judge me. Okay. I like to wake up early, and I like to have a quiet time. Right. And I like to work out. Quick story there. When I was at West Point, we'd do CrossFit in the mornings before it got popular. And we'd be at some statue at 5:30 in the morning. It's still dark, rubbing the sleep out of your eye. And this major who would work out with us ran up, and he'd have his basketball shoes covered in sweat at 5:30 in the morning. That major was at the time Major Van Antwerp, if anyone knows who that is. Fast forward a decade, he is one of the most elite units in the world. He's their commander. Okay. And he's done very well for himself. He told us, we're like, sir, where you been? What happened? And he's like, oh, I was playing basketball with some guys. It's no big deal. Let's get to the workout. And at the end of the workout, we said, why do you get up and why do you do this in the morning? I feel like you're already super fit. And he's like, let me tell you something. He's like, if you don't wake up in the morning and demolish your body, okay, and you're going to work out at lunch, and again, this is a me thing. This is how Landon sees it. You're going to work out at lunch, or you're going to work out after work, or you're going to work out after dinner. He was like, your day, you're going to get yelled at by your boss, and you're going to have to work through lunch, and you're going to get home, and then your kid's going to have to go to the doctor, and you're going to get home, and then you have a honey-do list, and you're not motivated, and then you go to bed, and you haven't worked out. Right? He said, to where if you get it done in the morning, the first thing, you can have the worst day. This is the worst day of all time. And when you lay your head down at night to go to sleep, you can say, at least I got to go work out in. And so that was early in my life that I learned that lesson. And I've since then kind of tried to make it my style is I'll wake up, I'll get that workout out of the way, and then I'll go about my day. The buckets that I have to answer your question, Thad, is when I'm on the road flying, if I am not actively flying an aircraft, I'm trying to do something that is good for my time. I always break it up into the three E's, right? With your time, so we're gonna have a pie chart. With your time, you entertain yourself. Snapchat, Instagram, football, whatever, video games. The second E is you educate yourself, reading books, listening to podcasts, etc. Or the third E is you employ yourself, which means you're doing something that might make you money or to do a business, right? So if I'm not physically flying an airplane, but I'm away from my house, I try to employ or educate myself at all times. Entertaining does have a piece. I'll scroll social media at night, right? That's normal. But I try to fill those two E buckets, employ or educate, when I'm away from my house. If I'm in a hotel and overnight, if I'm waiting for a plane, whatever, okay? So that when I get home and I walk through that door and my girls run up to me, Daddy, and my wife's there, I try to be present, play with the kids, talk with the family. And it's not, I don't want it to sound like I'm doing it as a task, but it's more of, I try to be disciplined in what I do with my time away from this door, so that when I am through this door, I can settle in and I can be present for my family. But in terms of like a schedule, I don't have one. I should probably get one. So yeah.
Do you ever have any issues with it, like coming off the rails? Like you might have a down day turns into 2 bad days, turns into a week, turns into a month, and you figure out you're like, I've been in a rut for a while, and now I have to reset.
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
That's happened recently to me where I'm just so far behind on things. And typically it's not sexy, but I've found that if I'm like, you know what, screw it, I'll get 9 or 10 hours of sleep, or I will say I will be in the bed for 9 hours, 10 hours. That usually is a quick reset for me because, headspace, endorphins, emotional, physical, I feel better. And then I can attack that mountain because, yeah, man, I get in ruts a lot and it's like, this sucks, man. And it happens, but keep moving forward, man. Like Ranger School, it's literally one foot in front of the other. Eventually you're going to get there. You just got to not quit. So
yeah. And you recognize it. And then you have to figure out people have different techniques for climbing out of it. And usually, if I have a bad spot of time, it's like, okay, I can feel it. And like, all right, this hasn't been going good for a while. And these are the techniques I've used in the past, whether, we talked a little about journaling or, sleep is a good one too. Cause usually it comes at a point when you haven't been getting the best sleep and you're like, hey, it's Saturday. I'm not getting out of bed till 7. You know what I mean? For me, that's late, but I'm sure similar
that's the time
with you.
I wake up.
Oh, to have older kids.
Yeah.
Lucky duck. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think those things are super important. The older I get to, I've noticed that routine is important to me. And when I go off of my routine, it can be detrimental. And that's when I get in those ruts and I'm really, 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 really into mood follows action. It's just literally saying that in my head when I need to get out of bed. Or Mel Robbins has this thing, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Have you heard about that? Where
no,
if you want to do something, like you're laying in bed and you feel tired, like you don't want to get up, you basically just count down from 5 and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you just do it. And there's some kind of psychological thing that counting down, just like a rocket taking off, you get up and do like this morning I had to take my son really early. He had to be at school at 6:30 in the morning. So we were up at 5:30, and I haven't been up this early in years. And even in my whole time in the regiment, like I would be either going to sleep at that time because I was on nights the whole time, or there was just no way I was getting up at 5:30 unless unless there was something going on that would require that early. But I had to take him really early, and I came home and I planned to get back in the bed and sleep for another hour. And then I got up and made a cup of coffee, and I actually got stuff done. And that's such a great feeling when you get things done early. Full disclosure, I hate the people that post on LinkedIn, I got up at 3:30 and crushed the gym, and then I meditated for an hour. No, the fuck you didn't. No, you didn't. And then I went out and I surfed the Dawn Patrol, and then I came in and I did yoga. And then the
grounding and the smoothie and the
sunning my butthole.
And I sunned my butthole for an hour, and I did all this before 8 o'clock.
Watched Liver King.
Yes.
Of course you did.
And it's funny. No, you're good.
No, you go ahead. You go.
No, I was gonna say I hate getting up. I get up at 4:30 generally during the week, right? And I hate it, but I like that space of time from like 4:45 to till the sun comes up when there's nothing else going on. I like that space of time, but I don't like getting out of bed at 4:30.
Yeah, there's something to having, especially if you have kids, that when you're up, when they're not there or your spouse isn't around and you kind of have your own time. Like I like to have a cup of coffee on Saturdays and Sundays. I'll sit out on the porch and have a cup of coffee. It's a 2024 version of reading the paper and drinking a cup of coffee, but I just look at my phone because nobody who has newspapers, but you need to do things like that sometimes.
Well, that's huge too. And I think, I truly think, and I didn't think I would go here, but it just kind of popped in my head. Yeah. Waking up at 4:30 sucks for everybody. I agree with that. I think that folks who were in the military, even people who kind of have these hard jobs, like, corporate America, right? I shouldn't say we. So I drastically underestimated the value of sleep, which I realize it's 2024 and it's, grounding and ice baths and sleep. It's all like the craze. But I'll tell you what, man, if you can satisfy a routine that allows you to get good quality REM and deep sleep, if you have any sort of tracker, that is a game changer. I had sleep apnea my whole career, apparently. I ended up getting the dental device. It's a mouth guard that sits in your mouth. That puts your lower jaw slightly in front of your upper jaw.
That's what I have. Yeah.
And so I have I'm opening myself up to the internet, and I don't care because I like me. Everyone else can piss off, right? Here's my little sleep hacks. Okay. I have a very, very comfortable bed. And we're all adults here, but if I need a good recovery, a good sleep, I will have a relationship with my wife. And that matters. If you have sex before you go to sleep, you're going to be deep asleep, right? That's just physics. It's chemistry. Okay. I've got the dental device, so I don't wake up at night from the sleep apnea. I have a very comfortable bed. It's cool. It's dark. I play some sounds at night, like white noise type stuff. And I do the mouth taping. I'm that weirdo. Okay. I do it. And I will tell you the quality of sleep that I have gotten since starting to dedicate time to intentional time of getting good sleep. I call it my superpower. I could get 5 to 6 hours of sleep and I'm fine. Now I try to get 8. Okay. But if I do get 5 or 6, because I've focused on how to get better sleep, I feel fine. I don't get tired during the middle of the day. I'm able to get through, mentally and physically. And so folks out there who are just like, man, how do you guys have the energy? I would say my first place I would start is Jesus. The second place I would start would be, how are you sleeping? And are you getting good sleep? Because if not, that'd be a really good place to start, in my opinion. So,
yeah, I actually do all those things. I have the white noise maker. I have crazy tinnitus in both ears. So that helps.
From what?
Yeah. Yeah.
What? No.
I had to get hearing aids, man. Like, and the crazy thing is they don't really work. The problem is my hearing damage. I can't hear certain consonants.
It's noise.
Yeah. So it just makes, I can't understand what you're saying. It just makes you like I just hear womp, womp, womp. It just makes it louder. That's all, it's my superpower. Cause I'm like, I got
I'm picturing Thad as the guy from Up, the character with the house where he's just like, like
that's
just
only a matter of time.
Disgruntled old Thad King. Just getting mad at somebody trying to sell Girl Scout cookies.
Yeah. I'm pretty much there. Yeah, I do all those things. There's an app called New Calm, and I think I might have talked about it before, and I did it, and it was really good sleep. You can try it for free. I think it's a 7 or 14 day trial period, and they have different things in the app. It was some of the best sleep I've gotten. The problem is it's really expensive to it was last year. It might be cheaper now. But I did get good sleep on it. I've tried the mouth taping thing, breathing through your nose. And, I think that stuff works good. I haven't done it a lot, but what about, when you talk about all those things, that's kind of all roll into self-care. So doing all that stuff, what has that allowed you to do now? Like you're flying in the airlines, you've got the business. Where is your kind of the spotlight on what you're doing right now? Like what are the irons you have in the fire, and like what's kind of the path forward? Like what's your plans for the future?
Yeah, I appreciate that. No, it's a, like I said, the airline job was a blessing because it freed up the elusive commodity known as time. If you're not flying, you're not working. You're also not getting paid. And so I've started a couple companies that some stuff that I'm passionate about. And I would recommend anyone who's looking to start something. I don't know what to start, or I don't want to know how to start a company, or tax write-offs. I don't know. I would say, what are you passionate about, man? Do you really like fixing things? Do you really like coaching? Do you really like finance? Do you really like physical fitness? So if you like something, that's a good place to start, because I can find myself staying up late. Like last night, I was up till 2. Shooting a podcast with a buddy for one of the companies, because I'm passionate about it. I love it. It doesn't feel like work to me. It really doesn't. The two companies that is kind of my main focus and right now is the first one's called BreakTurn. BreakTurn, it started as it's a skill bridge company. So we're a third party provider that allows veterans to utilize their skill bridge benefits, which means the last 6 months you're in the military. You can leave and go intern, go get training to ensure a post-service job, right? But that whole environment of skill bridge and Department of Defense can get very complicated. Who can I go to? How do I get the approval? What's the paperwork look like? All of these things. And we're the easy button. So we have relationships and partnerships with different companies across the country for people who want to go into the aviation industry. So whether that's pilot, maybe you want to be a mechanic, you need to get your A&P stuff. Maybe you need to go to flight school. Maybe you want to fly for a 135. We've got a guy who does drone stuff. If you want to do flight operations, like our 15Ps out there. I mean, we're currently not unique in that there are lots of other third-party providers, but we are the only third-party provider currently that strictly does aviation, because it's so niche. There's so many rules. There's so many if then, but that statements. So if anyone's looking to go aviation, we can help you out with a skill bridge. We do everything's free for a veteran. Counseling calls, like, hey, I think I want to do this. Like, let's jump on a call, man. Let's help you walk through this, and we'll build a path for you. We've got this new software where it's called Glide Path. So you can literally go in and insert your current situation. I am a crew chief, 0 hours. Okay. I'm a 5,000 hour rotor Army pilot. Okay. And based off how you fill it out, it will give you essentially a class, a computer-based training module that'll say, hey, you need to do this first. Go get a class 1 medical, because if you can't get a class 1 medical, don't even try, because you can't do it. Step 2, do you have GI Bill? And it literally walks you through every single thing, in addition to that counselor that you have access to, and it's all free. Right. So that's been really great. We're standing up a nonprofit because we want to offer more scholarships. I just learned the other day that an A&P's toolbox for an independent A&P mechanic is like $5,000 to $10,000.
Yeah.
And so we're like, hey, man, like, let's get some sponsors. Let's get some donors. Let's give away scholarships. Let's give away some toolboxes. Right. I mean, these veterans, they need it. Right. Let's do that. So that's been great fun. We've helped a ton of folks, and I'm all about, if I can help you, like, that brings me fulfillment. And so I like that. The second company that I've just real passionate about is called the Legacy Project. Very different. And if you don't know me, you'll see like, oh, wow, those are completely opposite. And I can see why you're a squirrel and you're ADD. I'm like, yep, sure enough. The Legacy Project is again, another free company, but we're a free wealth education company. What does that mean, right? We like to tell people, we like to teach folks how to build, create, and keep generational wealth, right? I'm not a financial advisor. Nick O'Kelly, go to him. He's a financial advisor. I want to educate folks at large about the idea of money and finances. Did you know this about money? Did you know that this about qualified accounts, life insurance? Did you know that you can, after the first, we'll say 4 years, you can take the cash value from your life insurance policy and fund a real estate deal. Meanwhile, it's growing uninterrupted compound interest the whole time. People are like, whoa. I know.
Go on.
But yeah, that's the thing is that the I always like to ask people, this is my favorite questions, and I'm not a salesman, I'm an educator. I love talking about this because if money is not taught in schools, our parents, God bless them, the boomers, they think they know, but it's just not quite. It's not quite that, man. If you really look into it and really look at it, I always ask people, Tyler, I don't know how old you are, but do you think that you're going to get Social Security when you're of age?
I don't think I'm going to get shit ever.
Perfect. So I'm not here to say I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but the way that the Social Security system is working now, I personally don't expect to get that when I come of age, right? Do you think it's out of the realm of possible that by the time we are of retirement age, the time or age of which you can access your qualified accounts, 401ks, Roth IRAs, which is now 59 and a half, is it out of the realm of possible that the law will change where now it's 62 years old?
I think that could happen.
Exactly. So right there, I say, I want to make sure that everyone's aware of the rules of the games that is being played. And if you don't know the games being played, I want to educate you on the game and arm you with some good info. And if we can help you, we like to teach the infinite banking concept, which is Austrian economics, using whole life insurance policies that everyone rolls their eyes. Hey, that's fine, man. If you don't want to listen, I'm cool with that. I just want to educate folks for them to make a good decision instead of just saying like, I guess I'm supposed to do this because that's what I was told to do, or I don't care what I'm doing and I hope it's there for me when I retire. And that's kind of a shame. I'm an air assault planner. Thad's an air assault planner. I want to know time on target. How much fuel do I need? What's my contingencies? And I feel like a lot of people don't treat money with that much attention, and it's not great. It's not great. So,
yeah, I think that's. I didn't know that about the real estate thing. So
yeah,
I mean, and then it's legacy, because a lot of people say, what are you saving for? And they say retirement. And again, this is going to offend some people, and I don't intend to, but I like to say, because it's bold, I'm saving for retirement. And I say that's selfish. Like, what do you mean? You lived 90 years and you had a great retirement. What about your kids? Well, I don't have kids. Not only your kids, what about your grandkids or your great grandkids? Why are we not trying to structure the dollars that the Lord has given us and blessed us with to strategically pass that along, to maybe start that chain of generational wealth? Well, I don't want to spoil my kids. That's a different conversation entirely. That's parenting. I'm trying to structure the awareness of maybe retirement isn't the goalpost. Maybe leaving $1 million to each of my grandkids that don't exist yet. Maybe that's my goalpost. That's where my headspace is at, and that excites me. So,
yeah, I was kind of on that camp of my kids need to earn it, and I never really thought of separating it between planning and parenting. Or that's a pretty good perspective of how to look at it, because I was definitely like, fuck them kids, they can do it themselves.
Well, and that's the thing. And again, the whole education process is, I'll say, a fundamental concept. So my grandfather died, I think 2 years ago. His son, so my dad, was in his 60s. So who needs that quote inheritance? Is it the 60-year-old son, or is it the 30-year-old grandson, me, or is it the 7-year-old great granddaughter? And I am not here to answer anyone's question, but for me, it's when I die, Lord willing, if I'm older, my kids don't need that. Their kids do, because they're in their 30s, they're buying a house, they're paying off student loans, that they're taking risk, right? Furthermore, for the people that are like, I don't want to spoil my kids, I say neither do I. And through the education process, which is free, we have a trust set up, and access to the trust requires certain things. This is Air Assault Planning 101. You have to have a college degree. You have to have a company that's gross revenue is over $250,000 a year, or you have to have served in the military for 10 years. Those are the three criteria. If you want access to this money, you need to have one of those three things checked, as well as other things. There's a list of rules, so that if I do several generations down the line have someone who would abuse that or be abused by that blessing, they don't get access to it. Because the rules, the gatekeeper, the trust is written with rules to prohibit that.
Yeah, I just did a trust. Nick did my trust. It's been like 6 months ago, and we did it to avoid probate and a bunch of. There's like all these kinds of things, and I was like, I was like, and blue team go, Nick. Just I don't care. Just tell me what to put on the paper, but I don't want to do those things, and.
But you wouldn't have taken action if you didn't have the education. And most people say, they hear the word trust, they say rich people, trust fund baby, That's not for me. And I go, okay, well, trusts aren't that hard to get, and it avoids probate. There's tax implications, not a CPA. There's a lot of benefits there. And if we can educate you on that, for you to say, oh, wait, so all I have to do is call a CPA and I get that set up. And I go, yes, it's not that sexy, but you can square yourself away. You just have to be in the arena and want to learn that there might be something you don't know about finance based off of what you didn't learn growing up or in school, because we don't teach it. So,
yeah. What about when we look at this kind of conversation, what's your kind of overall closing thoughts on what, if you had a microphone, if I'm going to hand you a microphone, what's Landon Chevin want to get out to the world?
Oh man.
Full disclosure, it's like not that many people, but
my wife and Dad's wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. And me, I'm a subscriber. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
No, I love it, man. I don't want to say you stumped me, but it's what I want to put out there. Don't quit. Don't quit. Don't quit. Don't quit. Action beats deliberation. Take risk. Put yourself out there. Surround yourself with great people. Don't accept mediocrity. Hold the standards. Balance your life. Be a good father. Be a good dad. Be a good businessman. Do all the things. And if you're thinking that you're overloaded, then good. You should, because being a man in this world is hard and there's a lot of responsibility. We're assigned a great task. The Bible assigns a great task to a man. And so, shoot for the stars, man. Don't settle yourself short. There's going to be naysayers. Don't worry about the naysayers, man. Surround yourself with good people. Find someone who's doing what you think you want to do and go talk with them. And then if you still want to do it after talking with them, then go execute. Don't waffle in the what ifs. Don't deliberate until the cows come home. Go execute, and you're going to fail, and you're going to fail, and you're going to fail, and you're going to fail. And you should, because the only way you grow is through failure. A master is defined as someone who's made every mistake possible in a very narrow field. So if you want to go do something, you better get going to fail quickly and often, because that's how you're going to progress. And if you're scared of that, you have to get over it, and you have to get out there and do it. That's I know it's like a little rah, but I truly believe that. And if you can just go out there and put yourself out there, it's going to work out for you. So,
yeah, I think those are all like really good advice for people. And I think it's the don't quit has served me well. Like, I'm not the smartest guy, but I just won't quit. And so eventually you'll get it. Just don't quit. So.
Yeah, I agree.
It's kind of a motto. What do you got, Tyler?
I can't follow that up.
Yeah.
No, I don't have anything extra to add to that. I mean, that pretty much covers everything, right?
Yeah. Well, in the show notes, we're going to link to all your stuff. We'll link to your socials. If you want to get in touch about Break Turn, you can look in the show notes. There'll be a link to go right there. Legacy project. And what about the podcast? Isn't there a podcast? Are you guys doing a podcast? Are you ready to announce it, or I just dropped the bomb here?
No, you're good. No, so we've kind of like soft entered it. We've been starting to do a podcast for the Legacy project, interviewing folks, telling stories. I recorded one last night about a buddy of mine who is teaching his 7-year-old entrepreneurship. And it's like, whoa. It's like, no. This is awesome. You have to listen to it. They're selling cookies in the neighborhood, but he's allowing this opportunity to do mathematics. You got back office, front office, ingredients. You're going to spend this much money. That means you need to sell this many cookies to break even. You have to go door to door, which means she's going to get rejected. Now we're talking about resilience. You have to talk about customer satisfaction, marketing. What does the box look like? What's the turnaround time? Like all these just like $1 billion CEOs are talking about on a daily basis of overhead and inventory, that you're talking to a 7-year-old about cookies. That's what the podcast is about, is how do we establish a legacy? How do we control our finances with humility? But how do we actually take action with that? So we haven't like officially started a podcast, but we've kind of softly started some episodes. So when we do end up releasing something, there'll be at least 6 or 7 episodes in there waiting for people. So
yeah,
Nice.
when he does, let me know and I'll update the show notes and then it'll link to that. And yeah, I think we're kind of getting to the point where that's it. I would ask everybody that's listened to this episode and all the episodes, if you enjoy the content, if you enjoy what we're putting out, really helps us. And I really hate this when I see this on YouTubes and stuff, but this is what you have to do, because I would really love it if you went and gave a rating. If you're on Apple Podcasts, you got to go to show, the little go to show, go down about midway and you'll see the ratings on our show, and it'll give you the opportunity to click the box, click that. If you would like to leave a comment in the ratings, that's even better for us. Right, wrong, or indifferent, we would prefer you leave great comments. If you have some negative feedback, just email us, info@aloneandunafraid.org. But we'll take it any way we can get it. And if you're on Spotify, what you're going to have to do, which is nobody can find how to, I don't know why Spotify makes it so difficult, but on Spotify, if you want to rate a show, what you're going to have to do is you're going to go to the show you want, about, and then you'll see right under about, you'll see the star rating. Click on that, 5 stars. That's my horror. 5
stars. Right, are you on Google too? Is that a thing?
Yeah, I don't know. We're not on Google. Maybe we should be on
we'll take
YouTube.
Over Google.
Yeah.
YouTube's.
Yeah.
Can I shamelessly plug something?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, my fundraising
we
event.
to talk about this. Yeah.
Yeah. So just real quick, I have an event coming up next June. And as some people know, I last June 6th, actually, I landed in Scotland on D-Day and with the Allied Forces Foundation. And we proceeded to partake in a week of events. And in the middle of that week, we did a 54-mile ruck around the Scottish Highlands.
But it was really 56 miles.
Yeah,
right?
Scottish miles are different.
Miles.
Yeah, they're all liars. Is pretty much what it boils down to. Yeah, so we did that in support of the Allied Forces Foundation, and it's a nonprofit here in the States. I think it's based out of Virginia, but they support wounded and ill veterans, and what they do is they get people together in all these outside events, and they flew in people there's like about 100 people from all over the world. So their nonprofit doesn't just focus on Americans, but it focuses on anybody in the Allied Forces. So Poland, Georgia, Ukraine, Australia, there was people from all different parts of the world who partook in this. And there was a lot of amputees out there who ended up doing, a big portion of this ruck. And so I'm raising money for them in the event that I return next year. Me and a local are going to go do 2 laps of this ruck. So we're going to do 108 miles in about 30 hours or so, I think is what we're planning on. And raising money for that. And all that money goes to them getting more veterans from all over the world over there to partake in this big group event and spend a week together in Scotland. It's pretty cool. So I think we'll put a link to that in the show notes. And there'll be more to that in the future. So
yeah,
more
and
to follow.
Anything that you can give, because I'm going to carry Tyler's bags. I'm like the guy that runs out on the basketball court with the
sweat towel.
The sweat towel. Yeah, I'm the ball boy. That's what I just want to. I'm going to hand you the water as you're walking by. I'm like, all right, man, I'll see you at mile 20 while I go eat a hot dog and drive on the wrong side of the road. Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Some Wiener
haggis dogs in Scotland.
I didn't even get any haggis while I was there. I was kind of bummed. I was looking for it, and I just never came across it.
Maybe it's like an urban legend or something.
No, I think it's real.
All right. Well, hey,
yeah.
Landon, thanks for spending time with us. Let's do it again. I really want to hear about I'm excited about the podcast. Break Turns going off. The Legacy project is really interesting to me. And let's do another one where we kind of deep dive. Maybe we stay in that financial realm and just kind of deep dive that. So thanks for coming.
Yeah. I love it. Y'all are so awesome. I appreciate y'all. This has been, again, I love it. We just been having a conversation. So keep doing what you're doing. We're going to spread the word, but love you guys and what you're doing. And thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome. Thank you.
Yeah,
thanks, brother.
All right. See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.